Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer R. Woods, and thank you for stopping by my channel. Today I will be discussing the movie Haunting Sarah, starring Kim Raver and Allison Seeley Smith. The moral of the story is if you drop your doll in the middle of the road on the way to school, it's sometimes best to just let it go. If you haven't watched Haunting Sarah before, then you're in the same boat I was about a week ago, and boy, are you missing out on a headache or two. But before we begin, please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future reviews. I post at least once a week. And now back to the movie. Kim Raver plays identical twins Erica and Heather. The movie opens with the twins, as kids, reciting rhymes, fighting over a doll, and playing sadistic little trust games. For example, one will blindfold the other and send her out into traffic to see if she stops just in time before being crushed by an oncoming vehicle. The question the narrator poses is, can twins really read each other's minds? Apparently so in the case of Heather and Erica, because the blindfolded girl refrains from stepping off the curb as a car is about to fly by because she picks up on her sister's thought. Or maybe she heard the car coming. That could be it as well. The movie skips ahead to Halloween night 25 years later. A costume party is in full swing. The twin sisters, now adults, remove their matching masks to address the crowd hanging around the front hall of the luxurious home that all pretty people seem to own in these movies. Kim Raver looks like someone sprinkled a little bit of Elizabeth Berkley, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Virginia Madison into a big bubbling cauldron and mixed them all together. Erica talks about the ancient Celts and how they believed Halloween was a time when the recently deceased hovered over living beings, looking for a body to inhabit, and that the reason for dressing in scary costumes was to ward off the spirits or something. Erica has a young daughter named Sarah, and Heather has a young son named David. David and Sarah are extremely close, and it is even noted at one point that they are like twins themselves. Or they could just be two normal cousins who enjoy playing together when they are given nothing better to do. They are at the party along with the others. They're dressed up in their costumes. I have no idea what they're supposed to be, other than extremely furry. And they're very intrigued by all this talk of spirits. Sarah has a nanny named Rosie. Rosie likes to scare the kids with talk of spirits, but she insists they're not looking to possess anyone. I guess she believes they're harmless, benevolent beings, which doesn't line up with what we later learn about her beliefs, so that's plot hole number one. Erica teaches a mythology course, and she's getting ready to publish a book on real-life identical twins. Now it's the morning, and Sarah is homesick with some kind of stomach bug that reminds me a little of COVID, that is, assuming COVID was caused by eating excessive amounts of candy. This is when I actually learned that Sarah is Erica's daughter and David is Heather's son. It's hard keeping the twins straight. For now, Heather seems to wear her hair up and Erica seems to wear it down, but I'm fully expecting them to change it up at some point just to confuse me more. Anyway, while crossing the street on the way to school, David drops his hideous doll and goes back to retrieve it and is unfortunately hit by a car. Sarah knows her little buddy is dead without having to be told first by her mother because David told her all about it in her dream. 6 weeks later, Heather's still in mourning. Sarah's like, isn't she over it by now? Guess not. Anyway, from this point on, things start to get increasingly weird with Sarah. She talks about David like he's still there in the room with her. She makes a bowl of cereal for him at breakfast time, even though I have no idea why her cousin would be eating breakfast with her on a typical morning. And all the while, she continues to play little games with him while he cheats up there in heaven. Hey, just because he's dead, that doesn't mean the rules of rock, scissors, paper doesn't still apply. I'm with her on this. Then there's the unusual drawing she made in art class. The teacher asks her if it's a drawing of the accident. Sarah says it's not a drawing of the accident, but it is something David told her to draw. Spoiler alert, it's a picture of a truck causing a crash. This will become important later on when Sarah predicts a fatal crash on a bridge. David apparently has the ability to predict these things now. Reminds me a little of Final Destination 2, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. When Rosie finds out that Sarah drew a picture of a truck that was identical to the truck in the papers that crashed on the bridge, she becomes concerned. Also, she notices that Sarah has a mysterious bruise on her neck. Erica decides to spend some time with Sarah, Rosie, and Heather at an isolated cabin in order to get away for a bit. A brief mention is made of Heather attempting to have another baby, but the outlook for her is grim. While at the cabin, Rosie gives a friendship bracelet to Sarah. She says David is not Sarah's friend. I'm not sure when this David kid suddenly became evil, but that's the way he's now being painted. This bracelet will turn out to be possessed or something because it later attacks Sarah's wrist. Rosie is convinced that David is talking to Sarah and she warns Erica. Heather thinks Rosie is spewing a bunch of garbage and convinces Erica to go talk to her. Erica confronts Rosie. Maybe it's time for Rosie to take a little break and go see family. When Heather is driving Rosie away, she acts like this is all Erica's doing and that she'll talk to her sister and try to talk some sense into her. But we know Rosie is leaving because of what Heather said to her twin, so I'm not sure why she's acting like this wasn't all her idea. It makes me suspicious of Heather's intentions. Now with Rosie gone, Sarah is excited to build a dollhouse with her increasingly deceitful aunt. And there's one scene in a store where Heather and Erica both have their hair down. I knew they were going to try to trick me. How am I supposed to keep them straight when they go and pull a stunt like that? Heather and Sarah work on the dollhouse together. Erica is clearly jealous, and when she tries to help, Sarah, being the typical daughter, says she's doing it all wrong. She says this is David's dollhouse. It has to be done a certain way, apparently. I don't know if David was this much of a stickler when he was still alive, but his ghost certainly is. Erica has a creepy dream involving Sarah and David on a dock holding red balloons. When she wakes up, Sarah comes into her room and says there's something wrong with the baby. Erica discovers there's blood on her nightgown. Turns out she's about 12 weeks pregnant. She goes to see a doctor. They'll have to keep an eye on the baby, make sure the complications resolve themselves with bed rest. Erica is freaked out because Sarah not only knew about the baby, but she knew that something had happened to him or her. Her husband is like, she probably just knew he wanted another kid. So apparently the rest is just a reasonable inference. Erica overhears Heather and Sarah whispering about secrets from Erica behind a locked door. Erica doesn't like how Heather is treating this as though it's her private vacation with her niece. She storms into the room and discovers that they've finished the dollhouse. It was supposed to be a surprise. Boy, is Erica's face red. No way was this built by a grade schooler and her doctor aunt within the span of however long it's been since they arrived at the cabin. I'm having a really hard time keeping track of the passage of time. Now Erica is off bed rest because the rupture that caused the earlier bleeding has healed nicely. Erica, Heather, and Sarah head home. Back home, Erica's husband Edgar reveals that he's found the perfect new house for his growing family to live in. The house looks identical to the dollhouse. I'm not going to go into too much more detail because I want to leave the rest as a surprise for those who haven't seen this before. But suffice it to say that Erica asks Rosie for help and they seem to loosen the evil spirit's hold on Sarah, only to discover that, psych, the spirit is still there and still as dangerous as ever. At one point, Erica punches Heather, and everyone else in the room basically acts like it didn't happen and goes on with what they were doing. Overall, I would give this movie 2.5 stars. I was interested to see how it would all come together in the end, but ultimately there were just too many unanswered questions. I was never really sure if Heather was supposed to be evil or not. One minute she seems to be plotting something, the next she's on Erica's side. Then there's David going from a normal kid to an evil ghost. I don't think kids turn evil when they die. I don't think that typically is how it happens. I've already mentioned how difficult it was at times to keep the twin sisters straight. There's a point at the end where Erica seems to forget about all of her suspicions and is like, haha, guess we have quite the active imagination. No more MSG for me. And by the time the credits rolled, I was super confused about what it was I watched.